Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds, and welcome to Ask the Cheeseman. This is episode, 246, and welcome one and all, curd nerds. Thanks so much for turning up, as always. Do you like my t-shirt? It's very cool. There's a reference there somewhere, if you don't know. Go and check the channel out. Alrighty. So, I'm on my second cup of coffee. I stayed up too late watching YouTube, and no, it wasn't Cheese Channels. It was, what are they called? Their channel's called Kinging It. It's Craig and Amy. They're from Wales. They're travel vloggers. So, Kim and I watched a marathon session of their channel last night. So, shout out to Kinging It if they're watching. Craig and Amy do a great travel vlog. It's very cool. Anyway, on to cheese and stuff and saying g'day and all that sort of stuff. Before we do, though, of course, thanks to all the financial members. Shout out especially this week to new patron Rudolph. Thank you, Rudolph, and all of the current patrons, of course. And new YouTube member Team Schmitz. Thanks, Leo and Mel, for your YouTube membership. It's the members and patrons that make the show special. I can bring it to you 2 days a week. Yeah, 2 days a week, Wednesday and Sunday. And I can get flashlights like the nice lights I got going there. It's on Christmas mode, I think, or something like that. Icicle, something like that. Anyway, and it provides a nice little ambience at the back. Nice. And you can see a nice glow off the side of my head. Oh, lovely. Anyway, but yeah, thanks to all the financial members, past and present, for supporting the show. Without it, couldn't bring it to you twice a week. Plus all the videos in between, of course. This week's video I'm currently working on, as I think I asked on Wednesday night's show. So I'm going to be doing a gourmet mac and cheese. So many people said, don't know why you haven't done it before. And I went, I didn't really associate it with cheese, but mac and cheese seems to be a big thing. So I do like it personally. I really don't like those packets that Kraft make. So I'm going to make a gourmet mac and cheese. I've got some Gruyere, cheddar, and what was the other cheese? Some Pecorino Romano, and I'm going to make some nice one. Not with those little tiny elbow noodles. They don't absorb enough of the cheesiness as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to be using some sort of fancy pasta. Anyway, so that'll be the video this week. At 30 minutes past the hour, there will be the gallery as always. So we will have the gallery. And there are so many photos, so that we may run a little bit over time. So if you've only got an hour set aside, that's fine. But yeah, you can stick with me, and we'll plow through the massive gallery that we have in store today, which is fantastic. And the gallery are photos from you, the curd nerds, of course. Right, let's say good day to a few people. We've got, goodness me, there's so many people watching today. So many active ones, anyway. Robin from Spice Packs. G'day, Robin. Shauna, Donna. Lovely to see you both. Anthony. G'day, Anthony. Joanna. Tracy from Cheese Needs. Cool Cat. In the UK, I think. If I remember rightly. John. Hello, John. Lovely to see you. First time chatter, I think. Marissa. Hello, Marissa. I think I might be able to get to your question. We'll see how we go. It might be a little bit too far. You might have to ask it again, or we'll just read it off the screen. Who else we got? We got John again. Different John. Hello, John. Michael and Jenny in Tasmania this time on holiday. Nice. Katarina, g'day, how are you? Lovely to see you. Alvin, hello Alvin, thanks for the photos. We'll get to those in the gallery. Who else? Have I missed anybody? Just going through. No, that looks like it's about... Oh, Patricia. Hello, Patricia. Lovely to see you. Judy. G'day, Judy. And... Is that it? Monique, I think. Did I see Monique there somewhere? Yes, I did. Eagle. Hello, Eagle. And Playing Games. Hello. And Chris and Bernard. Hello to everybody. Thank you for joining the stream. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Now, do we have a question? We did have an initial one from... I've lost it off my little list. I can't really show it on the screen. Where the heck did it go? It's way back. We're very chatty this morning. Marissa says, and yeah, like I said, I can't show it on the screen, unfortunately. I've made a few double breeze. They were very, very strong and did not firm up. Any suggestions to make the brie not as strong and not as runny? Yes, so it all depends on the milk. Sounds like you used too much rennet that made it too firm. I think that's what you're talking about. Or too strong as in it tasted too strong. You may need to amplify a little bit in the chat, but so too strong as in too acidic, too flavoursome. So if you're using raw milk, that may be part of the issue. So ease off on the starter cultures, especially starter cultures go back 50%. The moulds, fine, they can stay at the same. Moulds don't really live too much in the raw milk, or any sort of milk. Best way to fix everything, really, would be to use my fake camembert recipe and just make the cheeses bigger, as in the wheels larger, if you want to make it in the traditional brie shape. So use the stabilised paste method. It's milder, not as runny. It's certainly flexible, and it's a bit like some store-bought camemberts, well, certainly here in Australia anyway. So go and check out the fake camembert video on my channel, and you should be right to go, Marissa. Okay, let's have a look. Is there another question? Let's have a look. No, there's so many. I don't know. Comments, questions. Oh, here we go. Alvin, first question for the day, or second question. First cheese is aging now. Guido's using a plastic hinged container. Started a batch of Gavin's French cream cheese today. Well done. You will be delighted by both cheeses. And I think I've got a picture of your Guidos in the gallery. Yeah, so that should be good. We'll show that. Robin says pasta twists might work for you. Yes, I think we've got some of those in the cupboard, and that's what I'm going to be using. Something twisty that absorbs a lot more flavour than, say, the little macaroni noodle things. So it'll be something like that. I've got a couple of recipes in mind I found on the internet that look sufficiently gourmet, because that's what I'm going to try and do. Patricia, on the same subject, we make lobster mac and cheese at our place. I like Gruyere and cheddar as the cheeses, and cavatappi, I think it's a spiral ribboned macaroni as the pasta. Ah, there you go. Very nice. Thank you very much. Chris says, have you ever tried potted blue Stilton? I got some here in the UK, and when I opened it, it was literally no blue veining. I left it out a few hours, but it wasn't good. I know why Will Studd doesn't recommend it. No, I haven't tried it at all. The only potted blue cheese I've ever had is it's here in Australia. There's a brand called Chris's Dips or something like that, and he does a nice blue cheese dip thing, and it does have, well, it certainly tastes like blue cheese, and there's a bit of veining in there, but it's not really a traditional potted cheese, which are in little ceramic pot type things, and you pull off the lid. But if Will didn't recommend it, then it probably tastes like rubbish. He's got quite a good palate, that man. So for those who don't know who Will Studd is, go and check out the TV show called Cheese Slices. And he's a well-known cheese bloke here in Australia, and does a lot for the cheese making community as far as artisan cheesemakers and stuff like that. So that's very cool. I've got a love note already. Hadid says, I love you. Thank you, Hadid. That's very kind of you. Marissa says, tasted too strong. Sorry. Yes, so the way to fix that, Marissa, is use the stabilised paste method, and hopefully you found that. Joanna says, at me, that's me, really, I would really like it if you tried the holy cheddar. I'd rather see what a pro can do. Far from a pro, but I'd probably give it a crack. Hang on, let me write it down. So holy cheddar, for those who don't know, I've had a look at kind of what they do. So what I would do is it's a cheddar cheese that's got eyes in it. So the paste would have to be fairly smooth. It'd have to be a very young cheese. I would think that even a stirred curd cheddar style would work better, because, or maybe not. Maybe there'd be too many fishes in it. That's the problem with cheddar cheese is it does have a lot of, if you don't press it properly, it's going to have a lot of gaps, and you won't be able to distinguish those gaps from the mechanical holes. So that may be a bit of an issue, but yeah, it seems simple enough. Use the normal cheddar recipe and put propionic shimani in it, and that will create the eyes and a little bit of nuttiness, as well as the cheddar flavour. So it's an interesting combination. So yeah, holy cheese. Holy cheddar. So yeah, I'll put that on the list. Thanks for the suggestion, Joanna. I'll give it a go. Alrighty. Habib. Hello, Habib. How are you? Says, g'day, you all. I didn't know you said that in Lebanon. Sound like somebody from Tennessee. If I am using recently animal liquid with 300 IMCU, should I cut it by a third based on most recipes? Yes. So the standard IMCU that, well, certainly I use, the Chimax Plus rennet that I get from Green Living Australia as our wholesaler. It's IMCU 200. So yeah, if you just cut it back by a third, you should be good to go, Habib. Yeah, so no problems at all. I got Charlie from just up the road. G'day, Charlie. Lovely to see you, mate. Eagle says, hi, Gavin. Can whey from Stilton be used for ricotta? Yes, it can. Because when you heat up the whey, you know, the whey left over from ricotta after you've drained it, and you bring it up to, what is it, about 97 degrees Celsius, which is, you know, 3 degrees shy of boiling point. So what's that, about 210, no, 212 is boiling point in Fahrenheit, I think. So it'd be about 200 Fahrenheit, roughly. I don't know conversion. I'd have to ask Siri, but I'm not going to. Yes, because you're heating the whey up, it's going to stifle any activity by any cultures and any molds. So when you do add a little bit of acid to draw those proteins in, then you should be good to go. And it should form up. It should be creamy enough, that's for sure. So I can't see why not, Eagle. You should give it a go if you're planning on making a Stilton soon. Alvin says, concerned with what may be growing on the outside of the Guidos, wash and continue aging. Yes. Yeah, so we'll get to that, but we'll do show and tell, but that's exactly what you do. Just a simple brine solution and you should be good to go. Chris says, there are some companies now in the UK making holy cheddar, as they call it, Alpine cheddar. Very little info on how it's made, but it's aged for as long as a regular cheddar. Goodness me. Okay. So yeah, it's because a regular cheddar, I think they're a minimum of the West Country cheddar, farmhouse cheddar, the real one, is aged for a minimum of 6 months, if I remember rightly. So it's going to be fairly crumbly. So I don't know how the holes are going to form. The paste has got to be elastic for the holes to form. So for propionic Shimani to work properly, you've got to have that warm aging period for, between 14 and 21 days after an initial week or so at about 13 degrees Celsius. So the warm period's at about 16 to 18 Celsius. So that forms the eyes, and then you put it back in the cheese cave and let it mature as normal. So the problem with cheddar is it's quite acidic. That's why it's crumbly. So to avoid the acidity, because you can't have a crumbly cheese with eyes, it doesn't really make sense. Certainly, from my experience and knowledge of how cheese forms and all that sort of stuff. So I think it'll be on the young side, probably 3, maybe 4 months old tops, or the acidity will develop too far, and you'll get a crumbly holy cheddar, not a one that's like Alpine. So anyway, so that's my thoughts on that. Anthony's got, what's 198? What's that? That's what I'd take it to. Oh, 198 Celsius, Fahrenheit. Right, okay. Now I figured it out. Okay. Eagle says, thanks, he's doing Stilton tomorrow. So there you go. You'll get some ricotta out of it too. All being well. 17 minutes past the hour. I have one really crummy joke that I'm going to tell. It's from... what's the book? There we go. It's called Say Cheese, the original collection of cheese jokes. I do have some on our store. Probably this one. Probably this one I stole it out of the stock. Anyway, the joke is, for today, is what cheese do you use to hide a small horse? Anyone? Mascarpone. And it's even got pictures. So he's masking the pony with mascarpone. Get it? So good. So good. I love it. Alrighty. Yeah, that's a crappy joke for today. Anthony has a question and says, do you have any tips on finding containers of specific sizes online? Searching for specific dimensions is a pain. Yes, it is indeed. Do I have any tips? Usually the bigger the better, but not, obscenely big. As long as it fits between the shelves in your cheese fridge. You may have to, adjust the size of your shelves. That's half the problem. Especially with a small cheese fridge like the one I've got. I just don't have the room for a bigger one like Joanna's bought, apparently. But, so they've got to be wide enough to hold the cheese. So what you do, you get the mould size that you want to make the cheese with, measure the dimensions of the mould, the biggest mould you've got, or whichever one, if you're going to buy different boxes for different moulds, then that's what you do. So measure the diameter across of your cheese basket, and then you'll be able to figure you'll need a couple of, what's that? It's about, I don't know. I haven't got a ruler, but about that much, either side of the cheese. It's got to be able to have some sort of circulation. And it's got to have a mat. If you can't get a mat, then the plastic mats are available. We have some plastic mats at Little Green Workshops. And the plastic mat's just elevated off the bottom, so the air can circulate and so the cheese doesn't sit in any moisture. So that's the best way to find containers with specific sizes. The ones that I used to stock, the Decor red ones with the little mat in them, they stopped making them. So they just don't make them anymore. So that is just I rang the company and asked. They just said they just don't sell enough. I said, gee, I'll tell you what, I sell about 10 a week. And they said that's just not enough for them, obviously, being a big factory. So, you know, what can you do? Yeah, so I just can't get my hands on them. I'm going to have to try and find an alternative to see what I can do and maybe cobble something together with the plastic mats that we sell and sell them as a whole piece. But, yeah, I hear your pain there, Anthony. I hear your pain. But, yeah, measure the mould. Allow probably, 5 centimetres either side. All around the cheese, so it's got a bit of breathing room. Elliot says, I haven't been able to catch one of these in weeks. How's everybody doing? Well, pretty good. I think I can only speak for myself and Kim, of course, but we're doing all right, mate. Thanks for asking. Chris says, oh, you're right. I checked the label. It's actually Alpine cheddar and is aged for 3 months. I was thinking of another cheese, which is a combination of cheddar and Parmesan. UK cheesemakers going crazy. They sell it for around $20, £20. That's nearly $40 Australian. Goodness me. For 250 grams, which is half a pound. That's crazy. Elliot says he's been obsessed with this mushroom and scallion jack. As in Monterey Jack. I haven't heard of that one. That's very interesting. Shauna says she's rubbing her dry Jack or Monterey Jack today with oil, unsweetened cocoa and coffee. Should I let it ripen naturally or should I vac pack? Just rethinking your triple Jack. Yeah, look, I'd let it naturally ripen for a little bit to get that rind to dry off. Because I find when you do rubs and you then vac pack them, you know, fairly fresh, without the very similar to the smoky paprika kefili, Shauna. It's got the rind's got to dry out a bit, you know, with the rub on it first. If you vac pack it, you seem to lose the colour, and it doesn't absorb. I don't know where it goes. It mixes with too much whey, and yeah, it just doesn't work properly. So the dry Jack has to be, it's fairly dry cheese, like a well-aged Parmesan, but even drier. The ones I've seen anyway. So, your choice. I probably would at least ripen it for 3 weeks before I even vac packed it. That way you'll get some colour seepage into the rind as well, and it should dry out a fair bit. Hope that helps. Okay. Eagle says... can you please touch on life expectancy of different cultures? MM100, Roque 40, Propionic Shamani, Thermo, Meso. Didn't notice. First one I bought was already a year out of date. Okay, so Eagle, first of all, on storage. When you get your cultures, don't leave them in the silver pouches. Grab yourself some of these. There we go. It's a sterile container. Yes, it is a specimen container. A lot of cheese making shops do sell them. We certainly do, and a few here in Australia do. And they're beautiful. This one's not sterile anymore because I've opened it up. So you open up your little sachet, especially the ones that don't have a Ziploc bag on. Pour the contents into your little jar. It's still sterile. Put the lid on. Give it a good... Screw it on tightly. And it's moisture proof because... they, you know, people put their pee in it and take it to the pathology, so it doesn't leak and air doesn't get in either. So it's perfect for storing lactic bacteria, molds, and that sort of thing in. So grab yourself some of these. We sell them. I think you get 3 for $1 or something like that. And they're perfect for storing your starter cultures in. So, number one, don't store them in the silver foot pouches. As soon as they go gluggy, as in clumpy, they clump together and are not a free-flowing powder, then they are useless because they've started to activate and then they'll just die off because they've got no food. Because they're freeze-dried, they've got no food, which is lactose, so they die off and they neutralise. So they're no good, not viable anymore. Now, as far as age goes, I have found that if stored correctly in something like this, then I have used starter cultures up to 2 years past their best before date. Now, I'm just trying to be an economical home cheese maker and not have to buy cultures too often, right? So, storing them in these jars do allow you, if stored at 18 degrees below 0 Celsius, then, yeah, you'll have no problems prolonging the life of your starter cultures. In fact, when somebody buys some from our shop, we add a little note in there saying that they will survive the trip. They're freeze-dried, they're not frozen, so they do survive transport, no problems at all. They survive a lot better in the little jars than they do in the silver sachets that they come in. Hope that answers your question. Joanna says, the silly thing is I bought my mould when I got my press. I realised it was way too small. So I had to buy a larger one. So now I have a tofu press as well. I don't know what we're talking about here, but it was a 3 kilo mould. Oh, okay. That's a big mould. Rightio. Joanna says, I do have an important question. I do. Right. When making the curds, can you do them in batches and combine them? Well, yes, if you make the curds at the same time. Otherwise, you'll have an issue where one curds are quite acidic and one curds are quite neutral. And then when you join them together, you're going to have crumbly layers in your cheese. And the cheese probably won't be what you expected. So when I do that, if I'm making a really large batch, then I can have 2 10-litre pots. So I've got 20 litres of milk. And I stir them at the same time. If you have a look at the marbled cheddar video, you'll see that's exactly what I did. I put a natto in one batch of cheddar, and I didn't put a natto in the other, and then I combined the curds at the end when I pressed it, and that way I got that marbling effect. So I did match 2 batches of curds. Now, I've also seen people make a hybrid cheddar Romano or cheddar Parmesan style sort of cheese, remembering that cheddar is using a mesophilic culture and Romano or Parmesan use a thermophilic culture, but you can mix the curds together. However, it's better if you use the farmhouse cheddar recipe because the curds are probably on par, the same sort of size as the hard Italian cheese curds. So yes, you can mix them together, but you should make them same time, same day, so you don't run into issues with curds being too cold when you go to press them, because they will then they won't knit together. Is basically what's going on. Krogan says, have you ever heard of Jumi cheese, sometimes called blue brain cheese? No, it sounds interesting though. Let me just have a look. Well, I'm not having a look right now, but I'll write it down. Blue brain. Sounds very similar to the what was it? Blue brain. The buttermilk blue that I made. The outsides were just very brain-like. So, yeah, that worked. Okay. It's time for the gallery. Okay. Right, so let's do this. Let's make it happen. Rightio, can I do this? Can I? Hey, there's the alarm for the gallery as well. Right, so I don't miss it. This happens all the time. All right, here we are. Here's the gallery. This first one is from Alvin, who's watching and in the chat today. Alvin says, I love your channel. Thank you, Alvin. I retired in 2019 and found you soon after. Yeah, a lot of people found me around COVID time. Been very busy, but have taken the plunge and started my first cheese, a Guido's Hard Italian, on November the 11th. I have two questions. One, my cheese is in an aging box. Yes, that looks pretty good. In a regular refrigerator. It does not seem very dense, and after 3 weeks I noticed a small black spot forming on it. Does the cheese seem right? And do I just give the spot a wash with some fresh brine and vinegar and let it dry and return to the fridge? Yes, that's what you do. Due to the colder temperature, I am planning a total of 6 weeks aging for this cheese. Alvin, I think you'll need a lot longer than 6 weeks. 13 degrees is the perfect temperature for the lactic bacteria to continue to consume lactose and break down then when they die into enzymes and then further break down the proteins and fats. So you may have some issues with this cheese if you're just using the normal kitchen fridge. It will take a long time to age. Question 2, I'm very concerned about proper pressing. I've seen it said by some that press weights are total pounds, while others are saying it is a measure of pressure, as in pounds per square inch. If a recipe says 25 pounds to press your cheese, is this simply a 25 pound weight, or do I need to calculate the surface area of the mould and apply 25 pounds per square inch? Not accounting for the area of the mould, it doesn't seem right. Thank you so much for what you do. French cream cheese is next. Alvin McGrath from Savannah, Georgia. Thank you, Alvin. Yeah, as far as pressing goes, the molds and recipes that I use, mine is just applied weight. So it's not pounds per square inch. It's not kilograms per square centimetre or newtons or what have you. It's very simple for the home cheese maker. So basically, when I press a cheese, if I'm pressing a cheddar, I'm using a spring pressed, which you've probably seen many times in the videos, and that's got a 50 pound or 22 kilo spring. So, which means it's very basic. It's not too much more complicated than that. Is that when the spring is fully closed, that means if I put 22 kilos or 50 pounds of weight on top of that spring, it would fully close. So you're applying that amount of weight. That's all it is. There's nothing more mathematical than that. When you go to commercial sized cheeses, yes, definitely they use pounds per square inch or newtons of force on how much they press the cheese. But for the home cheese maker, it doesn't matter. As long as you get the rind to close and you're not pressing too hard, just use it as a gauge, honestly. I don't want to make it any more complicated than that for newbies, because they just wouldn't get into it. Anything complicated is a barrier to stop people from making cheese. So go with your gut instinct. The harder the cheese, the higher the pressure. Obviously, if you're making semi-hard cheeses, then yeah, light on the pressure, and try and follow the guide that I put in the recipes. The guides are usually for the size mold that I am using. So in most of the cheeses, I'm using the 165 millimeter or 6.5 inch mold. It's just a diameter across the top. Anyway, thanks so much for your email, and congratulations on your cheese. It looks fine. Keep aging it, but you'll have to age it a bit longer. Okay, so the next photo is from Charlie, and let's dig up the notes for Charlie. Here it is. Charlie says, "G'day Gavin, I first learned about home cheese making when I came across your videos on YouTube several years ago and was immediately hooked." Nice one. I made a few fresh cheeses like cream cheese and halloumi, but I was a little hesitant to commit to making an aged cheese. In the last few months, I decided to take the leap and set up a cheese cave, a mini fridge with an external thermostat. Since then, I've been making a couple of cheeses using David Ash's technique of inoculating the milk with kefir. So far, I've attempted camembert, edible but almost no white mould, and a wash rind cheese that's still aging. But this picture is my first hard cheese, a Parmesan. When my girlfriend suggested we make it, I was daunted by the long aging time, but we decided to give it a go. We got our hands on 4 gallons of locally produced raw milk, skimmed about half the cream off the top. Although we had a bit of trouble cutting the curds small enough to keep them from matting while we cooked, they seemed to form together well in the jury-rig press of 2 buckets weighed down with my cast iron pans and a gallon of water. Very nice. So the first picture is the wheel of Parmesan after removing it from the brine. It weighs 3.8 pounds, which is, what's that, 1.5 kilos, a little bit over 1.5 kilograms. And we plan on aging it for at least 1 year with a natural rind, rubbing in with olive oil as needed. Okay, so a couple of comments there. Because it's a small size Parmesan, if you rub it with oil for a whole year, natural rind, it's going to be dry and as hard as a rock. I guarantee, because that's when I made my first one, that's exactly what it was. And all you can use it for is grating, using a very fine grater to get it into a powder form like that really crappy craft stuff that you get in a jar. So I highly recommend, yes, you can age it for, say, a couple of months, 2 months, then vac pack or wax it. Honestly, you need to retain some of that moisture, or you're just not going to get the crumbly, grainy texture that Parmesan and the cheese that cannot be mentioned, the texture for that. Like I said, if you age it for a whole year, natural rind, it'll be hard as a rock. Anyway, so moving right along with the gallery. So the next picture, the second picture, is of whey ricotta we made from leftover whey and cultured butter we made from the skim cream. Also cultured with kefir. That looks fantastic. I love the cheese. I think you've wrapped that in plastic wrap. Not the cheese, the butter. Sorry. So that looks really cool. Thank you so much for making great videos and hosting the streams that have taught me so much about cheese making. Cheers, Charlie in Berkeley, California. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. Lovely pictures too, by the way. Thank you so much. Alrighty, moving right along. Here we go. What do we got? Oh, this is from Colin. Colin. I don't have any notes for Colin. I don't know why. Let me just quick check. Breaking the fourth wall. Colin. Do I have a Colin? There it is. There we go. Oh, it's empty. Colin, this is Colin's Leerdama, which is a Dutch version of a Swiss Alpine style-ish cheese. So, Colin asked me, is this okay? And I said, yes. Yes, it is. He was concerned about the eyes and the lack of roundness and stuff like that. So it's kind of a combination, if you have a look closely. Can I scroll in? So we got some eye formation, as you can see here. That's proper eyes. And then you've got some mechanical holes, like these ones. So the paste certainly looks good. He told me that it tastes fantastic. It tastes like what he expected anyway. Mild, a little bit nutty. So he said it met his expectations. But yeah, it's a combination of some mechanical holes. This is mainly from the cut, this part here, where he's just... I would remove the wax, mate, before you cut it, because you get these drag marks in your cheese. But certainly eye formation and a little bit of mechanical holes. But perfect, absolutely fantastic. Eat it, go for it, and chomp down on it, make everything you possibly can. Make a nice fondue too. It'd be perfect. Okay, this next cheese is from Habib, who I believe is in the chat somewhere. So Habib says, "Hi, dear Gavin, I just made my first bries 2 days ago. I used my halloumi molds, filled to the top of each other so I could get a good height of cheese at the end of draining. I also used my hard cheese molds, 221 centimetre in diameter. Yeah, good size. It's called a half brie. The halloumi molds are 15 centimetres in diameter. Photos are attached. All went well except for the big one, which I had a hard time flipping. and when it drained, it just broke off during the last flip. Can I do something about it? Will putting it in a smaller hard cheese press and pressing it make the cheese knit again? Will it stay a brie style? I'm open for suggestions. Okay, so let's have a look at these from Habib. So that one looks pretty good. Those two look pretty good. Look fine to me. Oh, that one doesn't. So that's the one that's broken in half, the bigger. I had exactly the same problem. I used a mould that was about 25, 28 centimetres across, so nearly a foot, to get a bigger size brie. And exactly the same thing happened, Habib, to me. So what I did, and this was just about straight away, I don't know, you sent this during the week, so... or maybe just in the last couple of days. So what I did, I broke up all of the curds and put it into a smaller basket, a couple of smaller baskets actually, because I've got like 3 or 4 presses. And I gave some light pressure to get them, and I crumbled up the curds, put them into those smaller baskets, gave them a very, very light pressing, so I didn't lose any more whey. So if whey starts to come out, then, pardon me, ease off on the pressure. So, and then you'll get a smaller form like the first ones you've got. So, they will still grow their mould. So once they've got, and the rind's intact, then they'll still grow their mould and they'll be fine. So yeah, you can save them, no problems at all. Okay, next one. This one's from Judy. Where's the notes? Here we are. Judy says, "Hi Gavin, pressed my double Gloucester for 26 hours. The curds seemed drier than I remember at the milling stage. And even after all that pressing, nothing untoward seems to happen while I was making it. Just followed your recipe as always. Firstly, where did I go wrong? And secondly, I'm concerned about the mould intrusion. What is my best course of action, please? Cheers, Judy." Okay. Looks pretty good. The mould, the little... nubbins, is that what you're talking about? That's fine. When you do a hard pressed cheese, as it matures, they go away, so it's no big deal. I wouldn't worry about those little dots. That's just from the holes on the basket. That is of some concern. This bit here. This means that the curds that you've added here, this little bit here, usually it's the last little bits out of the pot, and I can tell because it's on the top. They've been overcooked. So they won't incorporate really into the cheese. That's the problem with this, Judy. I did it once myself. I saw these little bits in the bottom of the pot, but they were way overcooked for some reason. I couldn't figure out why. But yeah, those curds there that have done this are overcooked and they won't knit together. But it'll be fine. When it fully matured, it all tasted the same anyway, so it was no big deal. I never had any drama with the cheese. Now, what you can do, if it's a little bit too dry, it looks like a bit of temperature problem with this little bit here, but if the overall cheese is fairly dry, then maybe ease off on the temperature a little bit at the cooking stage. Maybe press it a little bit less, so maybe take away 4 hours of pressing time, maybe even 6. And you'll find that you have a much moister cheese. So that's some of the things you can fix that. But yeah, that's overcooked curds. Seen it before, done it myself. But the cheese turned out okay. Once I think I vacuum packed it just to make sure that the rind was okay and no mould got into that crack part. So you may need to vacuum pack this after you've let it air dry a little bit. So, but thanks for sending that in, Judy. Appreciate it. This one is from Kim Wilson. It's a bit small. Let's make it a bit bigger, shall we? There we go. So it's in the ripening box. It looks like a brie or a camembert. Let me just pull up the notes. So the note says, "Hi Gavin, I posted this question on your YouTube site about how to make double brie. I don't always read all the comments, Kim. So this is the best forum to send any issues to. I try to read all the comments, but there are just thousands of them. So especially double brie that I made like 5 years ago. Says, last year was the first time I made your brie recipe. I didn't let it drain enough, and when we came to cut it was almost completely drained out. I think it means it was too runny. This year I made sure that they were completely drained. I tried to test the pH with my meter, but they were just too dry. Now they've developed mostly bloomy mould, but the larger one is starting to get some mould in the middle. What shall I do? I'm attaching a picture for you to see. Okay, so the best thing to do right now is ignore that blue mould and wrap your cheese. That is a full coating. You don't need any more than that. Wrap it up now, and that'll inhibit any blue mould growth whatsoever. The white mould will dampen down a bit, and the white mould will start to break the proteins down, on the cheese. So, and you'll get that, that gooiness, which, you want your cheese to have, your double brie. Very nice. But that blue will go away. It won't go into the cheese. It may impart just a tiny little bit of flavour. You could rub it off, but then you're going to rub some of the white off as well, so that would not be good. We got a super chat going. Thank you, who's super? Let's have a look. Let's go and have a look. Turn that off. And Jim, thank you so much. Let's just get that up. Come on, work. There we go. I made it late, of course, but here nonetheless. Thank you so much for that $5 US, Jim. Appreciate it. Okay, back to the gallery. So, Kim, as I said, wrap it now, and it'll all be good. This one is from Michael and Jenny, who are watching from Tasmania today. There's some notes for this one too. There's always notes. Love notes. It says, "Hi Gavin, we opened up the washed mead Alpine cheese and was surprised with the amount of holes. In your video you mentioned the holes. It's a great cheese, lots of flavour, lovely rind, another happy cheese." That does look pretty good, mate. I'd be very happy with that cheese. But yeah, definitely eye development. Yeah, it doesn't look mechanical at all. Can we zoom in? They're all shiny. I know they're uneven, but there is some gas development there. And that, I think it just naturally seems to happen with that cheese. Happened with mine, that's for sure. Could be the alcohol on the outside. I'm not sure of the science. But you'll notice that where the rind is, there's no eye developments. Where the paste is elastic. So, yeah, it's not an issue. And as long as it tastes good, it's beautiful. So it's not contaminated. It's not late blown. Late blown usually has a big crack or fissure. If you can see my little pointer hand there. Big crack or fissure down the middle. So it's not late blown. Certainly not early blown. Early blown means it's sponge. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. Right, so early blown looks like a sponge. Total, just like a dish sponge. So it doesn't look like that at all, so it's perfect. And then the second picture is Jenny decided to put a little cheese board together. We are on the road to Tasmania for 2 weeks. I should have read this before I asked the question before. Stop over in Mount Gambier for the night. Next stop, Geelong, then Tassie. So the washed mead, the farmhouse cheddar, and camembert. The camembert still has a little firm in the middle. Great taste. Fantastic, mate. And as to the rest of your note, yes, no problems. Once you put your order in, or give me a call on our business number, if that makes sense to you. Give us a call on our business number on the day before you place the order, because there's a special trick to get click and collect. Yeah, so do that. Thanks, mate. Thanks for sending that in, and thank you to Jenny as well, who made some of those cheeses. Well done. That looks lovely. That platter is delightful. I would eat it with gusto, personally. And the wine. Nice. All right. The last few were from Ruth, and I haven't seen Ruth today. I don't know where she is. I haven't seen her for a while. Ruth made this howder, and she's called it Sakura cheese. I'm not sure. She doesn't say it here, but anyway, it's made with dried cherries, toasted almonds, a splash of boiled and cooled amaretto. Okay, I think amaretto is an alcohol, so it's boiled, so the alcohol's boiled off. Now, the pictures are a bit fuzzy. It looks like it must be either humid or she hasn't cleaned the lens of her phone. Yes, because Kim does this all the time. She takes photos and wonders why they're all blurry, because the lens is dirty. And then, yeah, this is the other one. So it's 4.4 kilos, which is impressive. And I bet it's going to taste fantastic. So thanks, Ruth. And there's her, as always, there's her little label she made. Gouda with dried cherries, slivered almonds, a swig of amaretto, and lots of love. Indeed. Thank you, Ruth. Now, she's also sent in pictures of her cheese fridge. She's got a little... Where's the note? There is a note. Said, "Hi, Gavin. Here's my new leaf." I'm not sure. Maybe that's a spell check problem. Not only have I been keeping the cheese caves immaculate, I've carefully waxed all of my cheeses before leaving on vacation. I'm so proud. Aloha to you and Kim and all the world's curd nerds from beautiful Hawaii. Oh, that's why you're not on. Maybe the time zones are all mixed up. I told my husband we can't move here because it's too warm to make cheese. I hope to see you on the chat if I can figure out the time zones, which you haven't by the sounds of it. Okay, that's okay. You'll catch it in the replay. But yeah, so that's you got a parmesan down the bottom. I'm not sure, we can't really see. Ruth's got like 5 cheese fridges, all for very massive cheeses. You got an Estrom down there. Not sure what the other ones are, but perfect, very clean. And she's got a few more big ones in there, and I think this is the last one. She's got a Port Salut down the bottom. I don't know if I would have waxed the Port Salut, Ruth, but if you're going on holidays, you probably just don't have any. You don't have any options really. If you left it in a ripening box, then yeah, it may get very coated in all sorts of funky molds other than the red one that it's supposed to have. And last but not least, there's a Marsden, which is perfect to wax, of course. So yeah, well done. And that's it. That's it for the gallery, curd nerds. So great cheeses as always. Thank you so much to the people who sent them in. Let me just show you how to... Oh, of course, it's in the wrong window. Let me show you how to send them in. Oh my goodness, what have I done here? It's not going to plan, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on 2 seconds. Technology does it every freaking time. Right, hopefully this works. There we go. All right, so go to the channel to send photos. This is what we're doing. We're sending photos to Gav of your cheeses. So go to the channel, Gavin Weber or Cheeseman.tv. It'll take you to the same place. Go to the About tab down here. And we go down to details. It says for business inquiries, click on this to view the email address. Now, you will have to do a robot thing to prove you're not a robot, and you should be good to go. So, send any of your photos along with a question if you want, or a description of the cheese. Always send a description, because I can't guess, on what you made and how you made it and what you made it with. Yeah, I'll read them out during the gallery portion of the show, which this one has gone quite long. So, fantastic. So, do that. Send the photos, good or bad, I don't mind. It's all a learning experience. Oh, I like that new little feature there they got going on. The little banner scrolls up. Good on you, YouTube. Another thing. While we're here, one thing to check, if you can't find stuff on the channel, then what you can do, if you want to, because I do videos live and shorts as well. So if you just want to look at the videos, just go to the video tab and you'll see all the latest ones. And there's a few there I think people haven't watched. We've got some fairly low viewership, but we've got some lovely festive fromage 5 easy cheese balls people haven't seen. A lot of this was a classic. I got asked to do a cheese class, and a guy proposed to his girlfriend, now their fiance, so that's good. And then the follow-up cheese ball taste test with my good friend Stacey. So it's Gavin and Stacey. Very cool for those who don't know that reference. Anyway, if you want to find a specific cheese, there's a search function on the channel. You get search. So if I look for, say, feta, and somebody wants to make feta, you'll get all the feta videos. So there's a real Greek feta where I use ewe's milk and goat's milk. There's a Persian feta, which is marinated. There's a a feta with cow's milk, a feta with goat's milk, and then all the taste tests, and then taste tests of other fetas that I've tasted, and anything with the reference to the word feta as well. So, use the little search function. It will save you a world of pain trying to find stuff on the channel. Works perfectly. Anyway, back to me. So that's how you send in photos to me, and how to search on the channel and get the best results for your cheese issues. Alrighty, so we've got 5 minutes to go. I'm not going to do a lightning round. We'll find whether we've got some questions somewhere before Jim's super chat, which is the last thing I can actually show on the screen. Patricia has some questions, but I can't get to them to show them. I'll do one of them. Patricia says, I recently had to neglect my ripening Mont d'Or for a week when out of town, put it in the kitchen fridge. Once home, I moved the cheese back to the 12 degrees centigrade cave and resumed washing it. How much longer do you think I should extend the affinage to make up for the period it's spent in the cheese fridge? Okay, so if it's in there for just a week, then I would probably not double the amount of time. I just add another 2 weeks onto it, so double it. Double the first one, so an extra 2 weeks would be fine, Patricia. I think that would be perfect. So, all right, all right, cool. Thank you for that, Patricia. That question. Anthony says, Gavin, would you consider starting a chat where members can post questions and comments about each other, or something like Discord or Slack? I have in the past. I did start a Discord when we were at about 200,000 subscribers, and there was no interest whatsoever. I did advertise it a few times that we had a Discord server going. It's probably still there. I'd have to find the link. I can't even remember where it is. But there was no activity. And it was just another thing to distract me from not making cheese videos. So that's my thoughts on that anyway, Anthony. But great suggestion. Thanks, mate. It works for a lot of people. But as I said, I'm not I am a full-time YouTuber, because we run the business, and YouTube is the advertising arm of Little Green Workshops, as you know. So, but yeah, I've got to pack orders and stuff, so these cheese kits don't move themselves. I'm the one that does all the packing. So when I'm not making videos, I'm packing cheese orders and all the other stuff we sell at Little Green Workshops. So, there you go. Another question. Elliot says there totally should be a Discord. Nah. I can get me 23-year-old son to do the Discord. Maybe. There was a guy from Greece. Where is it? Oh, Johnny. Hello, Johnny. Lovely to see you, mate. And he has a question down the bottom. Can you make Reggiato cheese? I don't know what that is, but I'll have a look. Always good for a suggestion. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Looks like that's it. Unless I've... No, it's not it. There's heaps more. I haven't even looked at... where is it? Pirate. One last question. This is the last question. Pirate says, I have some cheese aging in my wine fridge, and I've noticed a few spots of fluorescent yellow on them. I couldn't find any information on the internet about it. Any thoughts? Yeah, there's a specific name to it. If it grows a lot, if it's only spots, then it's fine. Just wipe them off with some simple brine solution and some vinegar. Stop them spreading. They can impart a funny taste to the cheese. As far as I can tell, they're not toxic. That sort of mold. It's a fluorescent mold. But if you can, then cut it off or rub it off, and it should be good. So, yeah, I'll have to do a spot on that, because I've had a few times people have asked me that question. So, but thanks for sending that in, Pirate of the North. Okay. That'll do. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Curd Nerds, for watching. As always, don't forget that if you want to learn how to make cheese in a structured manner, then go over to courses.littlegreenworkshops.com.au, and we do have an online course that people can learn. If you want to pick up any supplies, we ship to lots of countries. Littlegreenworkshops.com.au. It's the place to go and get your cheese making stuff. And you want some cool merch like this one and the stuff that's pinned in the thing down below, then go to merch.cheeseman.tv and you'll get all your merch, and it's all cool. All proceeds go to me and making the channel better, of course. Alrighty, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching, Curd Nerds. We will see you again on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock my time, of course. And it'll be a bit darker in here. It's a bit bright today, but it'll be a bit darker. And yeah, lots of lively chat, as always. So thanks for watching, Curd Nerds. Appreciate your time. And Jim, thanks for the super chat, mate. See you later. Bye-bye.